So yesterday we learned like what is business analysis and like what are the primary roles and responsibilities of a business analyst. One second. I can't open this one. Okay, the recording is on. Yeah, let's get into this. Okay, let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So yesterday we learned about like basics of business analysis. Who is a business analysis? What is his primary role? What is his role on an IT project? And also some traits which a business analyst should acquire in order to be successful in his role, and also like some basic business analysis jargon like who is a stakeholder, what is a requirement, what kinds of requirements are there, and what kinds of stakeholders will be there in the project. So now today we'll just go through some client and vendor and the project hierarchies, so like what roles will be usually there, and also after that we'll just go through different of software life cycle methodologies which are widely followed in current market, not if not current market, which were followed, and I'll take you to agile methodology which is widely used in current days trend. So yeah, let's get started today. So client organization overview and vendor organization overview, project structure and SDLC models. This is the agenda for today. And from yesterday's class, can you just let me know who are the clients? Who is a client? Just try, anything is fine. Just try to define a client. So a client is nothing but a company who has a requirement, problem, or an opportunity which needs to be solved. So he is the client, and the client is giving us the opportunity to develop a project. So client is the main company like Bank of America, or it can be any healthcare company like Anthem or BCBS, or if you say think of any other clients like eBay or Target. So everything is a client. So IT vendor organization is a software company which develops the software for these clients like TCS, Wipro, IBM, Capgemini, all these come under IT vendor organizations. And project organization structure is nothing but how the project will be managed, who will be the head of the project, what teams you will have, how it will be managed, and all this stuff. Okay. So if you see a client organization, you will see a CEO on top of the hierarchy, and you will have CTOs and business units under him. CTO is nothing but Chief Technology Officer, who will be managing all the technology aspects of a client organization. He will be responsible for setting up a PMO called Project Management Office, and he will have IT teams into that under him, which comprises of different architects or IT development teams, and different advisors and everyone, and also QA teams and IT operations to manage the already existing applications, where they'll be managing the existing applications by troubleshooting any defects arising when the real users are using. And business units and managers are the actual business people who will be heading the real business. Like if it is if it is eBay, then the business unit heads will be like different merchandise options. Someone will be managing the electronics division of the eBay, someone will be managing the clothes and apparel division. So under them there will be managers. So this is a typical client organization. So it may not be like every organization follows the same thing, but this is like a typical and general form of a client organization. And if you come to an IT organization like a TCS or Cognizant or any IT implementation companies, so you will have a CEO under him, COOs, sales heads. Sales heads will be responsible for bringing in the business. Their main role is to lead the teams which will pitch into these clients who are in need of software implementations. Then just bid them, submit the proposals, and make sure the IT organization gets those projects from the clients. And once that is done, then the technology team comes into picture, where they interact with the client teams to develop the software of their desired nature, and by gathering the requirements with the assigned people from the client team. So similarly, they'll have like different vertical heads, account managers, on-site teams, delivery teams, QA teams, etc., etc. So we will be mostly part of the on-site team or the delivery team. So you will be working as part of delivery team to deliver the software. And this is a typical like project structure. So when a project is started, the steering committee will be comprising of the client people, the client project management office who will be heading the project, and you'll have a client PM or multiple PMs assigned, and business unit managers who will be serving as your business stakeholders, providing you the requirements, and when you get document and gather them, they'll be providing the sign-offs. And client also will have a project team which will be supporting you all the time when the project is under implementation. So the delivery head, it will be from the vendor side. He'll be taking care of how the project timelines are, how the project is managed, who are the account managers, what teams it will have, how they are going to implement it, and under them they will have different types of departments who will be deciding on which softwares you will be using, etc., etc. And this is like a typical project structure. Yeah, just if you don't understand, or if you have any hiccups in between, just shoot me with your questions. I'm ready to answer. Okay, is there anyone waiting in the lobby? Right. Two. Okay. Hi guys, who those who are late, we just started going through how a client organization and the vendor organization and the project governance structure will be. So you can later on follow the video on that. So it is just for an overview of how the client hierarchy and the IT vendors like Wipro, TCS or Cognizant, they look like, and also how a real-time project structure looks like. These are all typical like general norms followed in the industry, but not like this has to be exactly like this. It will be different from company to company. And the topics which now I am going to cover will be important ones. These things you need to understand. Someone is echoing. Can you please mute yourself? Okay, thank you. So what is SDLC? Software Development Life Cycle. So software development life cycle means how the software is developed, what are the phases in a software development, and how the software is implemented stage by stage following different kinds of process is called software development life cycle. There are different kinds of methodologies that are followed in this SDLC. We'll go one by one. But whatever methodology you take, you will have the project initiation where the project scope is defined. So remember these terminologies. These are very important when you talk in the interviews. You should be using these terminologies. So, like project scope means what all comes into the project, what all are covered. Let's say a company is into multiple businesses. Like, let's say if you have a life insurance company, they provide life insurance policies, disability policies, and also some different annuity or money back policies, right? So if you are implementing this project only for life insurance, then the project scope will be only life insurance. All the other like disability insurance and other money back policies or anything, they will be called out of scope because they are not included in the scope of this project. I see little disturbance from someone. Okay.
Sam, are you sharing the screen? Because I
Yeah,
can't see anything. Can you maybe reshare or something?
I am sharing actually.
Oh, okay.
Are you able to see now?
No, maybe because I got dropped off and I rejoined, I can't see the screen now.
Okay, let me stop and start sharing again.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I can see now. Thank you.
You see now? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so this is a typical software development life cycle diagram. So in the initial stage, the project will be initiated and the scope is defined and the feasibility study is made, like is it feasible to implement it, what time it will take, how much resources are needed, is it okay to implement it this time, and all these things. This will be done in the business level with business project managers. Sometimes if they have a vendor already in place where the vendor personnel are also included, but this will be done on a very higher stage. And once it is defined and the project is on, then the second phase comes into the picture. This is where a BA has 90% of responsibilities in the phase 2, like define the requirements and decide a project plan sitting with your project manager and other peers, then gather the business requirements. Then sometimes if you are a BSA, if you possess technical knowledge, you will be writing the technical requirements also. Sometimes they are called system requirements as well. So business requirements, functional requirements, system requirements, and then go to the requirement approval, which is called with a term called sign off. You usually use a term called sign off for this. So when you have documented everything from the business, you send it to business for review and sign off. And once the requirements are signed off, then they'll be moved on to the design phase. So design, conceptual design, it will be designed by the software architect who is maybe they'll be from the client side or the vendor side from your project team. They'll do the conceptual design first, then review the design with all the peers and other business people, then go with the detailed design and go for the design approval. Once the design is in place, they'll go on to the actual coding practice, that is called building the software. So there you will code and that I mean the developers will code, unit test it. Unit test is a terminology used when the developers test what they have coded. Actually, this is not the actual testing, but developer, when they are supplied with the requirement, after coding it into the system, the developer test themselves if it is working on a high level, like whatever the features require they have received in the requirements have been implemented or coded correctly. If the logic is working correctly, they'll make sure, and the team lead or the design lead will review the code, then deploy it to the environments, so local environments. So when I come to the real time project explanations, I'll tell you what are these environments, how do they act, and where you will be deploying this code initially, where will the testing happen, and everything I'll tell you when we go into the real time aspects. But this is all theoretical knowledge, just try to grasp it as I say. Okay, so the developer will be responsible for unit testing. He'll do the unit testing, and after that, code review happens with his developer lead, and then it will be deployed. Then comes the testing phase. So once the requirements are documented, business analyst will pass on these requirements to the testing team. Before the build phase or the development phase begins, the testing team will follow these requirements and write their test design and define the scenarios and test cases and keep it ready with them by the time the build is complete. Once the build is complete, they'll just jump onto the build and start their testing. So initially they will do the system testing. System testing is they will test all the features, requirements, whatever are documented as per the sign off document, and they will run each and every scenario, every requirement, and make sure that everything is working. And when they encounter any bugs or any defects, they'll raise it to the dev team again, and the dev team will fix them if they are bugs, and if there are any questions or clarifications, they'll come back to the business analyst again, because he is the owner of the requirements, as I told you yesterday. So they will come to the business analyst and clarify anything, and then again they'll, if needed, they'll fix the code and they pass on the defect again for testing to the testing team. So once everything is tested and all the defects are resolved, then it will move to the UAT. UAT means user acceptance testing. So in user acceptance testing, along with the business analyst and or some designated testers from the team, some people from the business were also designated to test this. The actual people who will be using the system in real time are also involved in UAT testing. So in UAT testing also, there are chances like the testers will see the application in a different perspective, and the real business users will play around with the system in a different perspective. They will have n number of options, and they know the business in and out, so they will try to test the system with different types of scenarios and different types of cases they encounter in their real time business. So here also there are chances of getting a lot of defects, and once they are in, so the team again tries to fix them. There will be a lot of discussions which are called triage meetings, where they will go through these defects and try to solutionize them and fix them wherever needed. And once everything is done, then it will goes to the final deployment, and that is called, maybe you might have heard terms like some people saying that we have a go live of the project, or we have a production deployment. These all means it is ready to implement for real time users to use the system. So when everything is done, they'll call it go live. They'll set up a specific date where they'll deploy it, and make it available, supply with all the training material and links to the end users where they'll start using the real system. So sometimes BS are also involved in preparing the user manuals for this newly implemented system as well. So BA responsibilities sometimes might extend to preparing these user manuals as well, so as how the system can be used or should be used. So after that, the last phase is the maintenance one. After implementation and the whole deployment for production is done, in maintenance stage there will not be any need of all the project team whoever worked on implementing this. Sometimes the same client team will be taking care of the maintenance, and sometimes they will just keep few members from the implementation team until the product is stabilized in the real time. When they go on working in the real time, they will be encountering a lot of issues as well. So when they encounter such, so this product team will be fixing them. Okay. And if you see in the bottom, there is something called scope change control process, and change control log, right? So we have initially defined a project scope saying that only this part will be in this project and everything else out of this will be out of scope. Sometimes the business will come and say that, oh, this needs to be included in this, or else the system will not be completed. So if that is a minor change, it will be decided to to be included in the same release, or else if it is a very big change, other than that was agreed in the beginning of the project, it will affect the whole project timeline. So depending on the situation, the project team, the delivery leads from the project, and the business people will sit together. They're using some change control process or something, whatever is established in the company. They will decide if it has to be a part of release 2 after this implementation, which will be added in another 3 months or 6 months based on the size of this change. And this is change to the whole scope, because we are thinking here of a big chunk of feature added to the application. And there will be small changes, like once the requirements are finalized after the phase 2, if they come up with some new requirements, like if they want minor changes, like I want to have one more option here, one more option there, I want a report here, I want a report there, I want a dashboard here to see all the details. So such kind of things, they can be implemented, but with the approval of a board called change control board. Every company will establish a change control board wherein these requests will go through that board. All the members of the board will take a look at that. They'll have the architect or developer lead analyze that change and the number of work hours required to complete that change, and they'll decide if they can include in this current release, or else they should be moving it to a next iteration of the project or next release. And they all will be recorded in the change control log. Sometimes it will be a spreadsheet where it is shared by everyone, or else sometimes it is a confluence page where everyone, whoever is initiating the change, will add it, and you will have approval columns, dates, and everything into that. So this is a important topic at the interview level as well. So you will get questions like, how will you handle the change in requirements in the middle of the project? So you can explain them that we have a change control board in place. If any change exists, if any change is initiated, it will go through the board. We have a list of all the changes, and we'll have a weekly meeting or bi-weekly meeting. We'll discuss those changes in that, analyze the impact on existing application, and then go ahead and implement the change if it is feasible, or else we'll push it to the next release. So you should be in a position to detail explain in detail how do you handle a change in the requirement. Okay. So yeah, when interview preparation stage comes, I'll give you brief and detailed explanations on what all the questions you will be asked and how you need to be answering them. So this is typically a software development life cycle. How